taken up and decisions have been taken. Now I will request Honorable FM to give the details on the various items. Thank you.
Sorry about meeting so late in the evening, but the cabinet was concluded just now, so from there we are here straight. I'll give you the highlights of some of the decisions. The first one which I'd like to draw your attention to is the Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs has given the clearance or in principle approval for enabling reduction of Government of India paid up share capital in select central public sector enterprises, the CPSEs, to below 51% while retaining the management control. That's the most important thing. The paid up share capital will come down to 51, but ensuring that management control will still be with the government. So that's the main decision. And then post such reduction, government's control will remain intact. And while retaining the management control, on a case-to-case basis, decision will be taken. So that's the first one. I'm moving over to the second decision, also relating to DIPAM. In principle approval for strategic disinvestment of select CPSEs, which have been earlier recommended or earlier shortlisted in consultation with the Niti Aayog. So I'll go one by one to name the companies for which this decision has been taken. Bharat Petroleum Corporation Limited, the strategic disinvestment of Bharat Petroleum Corporation Limited, of Government of India's shareholding of 53.29%, along with transfer of certain management control to strategic buyer. However, very important in this, and I would like to state it very clearly, that this is except, in other words, this is excluding that is Bharat Petroleum Corporation Limited's equity shareholding of that 61% that it holds in Numaligarh Refinery Limited will be excluded from this disinvestment. I'll repeat it. Bharat Petroleum Corporation Limited strategic disinvestment is approved. However, I'd like to underline the fact that a carve-out has been made. A carve-out has been made of Numaligarh Refinery Limited, which is in Assam. That shall not be disinvested. However, of course, it will be moved out of the BPCL before it is disinvested, and that shall be taken over by another of the public sector companies or whoever it is going to be within the government. It shall be retained by the government. Numaligarh will be with the government only. That shall not go in for disinvestment. However, Bharat Petroleum minus Numaligarh will go for. I hope that's clear. That when I'm talking of Bharat Petroleum Corporation will go for a disinvestment, I mean also entire management control will be transferred. So it's not strategic disinvestment of giving a couple of shares. No, entire management control also goes away. But again, Numaligarh is carved out. It is not getting disinvested at all. Let's be clear on that.
It remains in the public sector.
It remains a public sector undertaking. It won't be a part of the BPCL when it goes for privatization, if that is clear. The second is Shipping Corporation of India. Again, that's a strategic disinvestment decision where government's 63.75 shareholding in Shipping Corporation of India Limited, along with its management control, will be completely given to a strategic buyer. Third is container, 63.75%. Third is Container Corporation of India Limited, CONCOR. Again, strategic disinvestment of Government of India shareholding of 30.8%, along with the transfer of management control to a strategic buyer. The next is strategic disinvestment of Government of India shareholding of 74.23% in the THDCIL, along with the transfer of management control to a strategic buyer. THDC India Limited, which is Terry Hydro Development Corporation India Limited. Terry as in Gadwal. This shall be given to the identified CPSE, which is a strategic buyer, namely NTPC, in modification of the earlier decision of CCEA, which was taken in 2018 July. The next one is the Northeastern Electric Power Corporation Limited, NEEPCO. Here too, the strategic disinvestment of Government of India shareholding, which is 100% in NEEPCO, along with transferring the management control to NTPC again. NEEPCO, Northeastern Electric Power Corporation Limited. All right, so that's the second decision. Just to recollect the list of companies that we're talking about: Bharat Petroleum Corporation Limited minus Numaligarh. Numaligarh stays in public sector. Shipping Corporation of India Limited, Container Corporation of India Limited, THDC, that is the Terry Hydro Development Corporation of India Limited, Northeastern Electric Power Corporation Limited, NEEPCO. Okay, so that's the second I'm giving you. आपको प्रेस रिलीज मिलेगा, आप देख लीजिए एक मिनट. थर्ड, कंस्ट्रक्शन सेक्टर इम्प्लीमेंटेशन के लिए एक डिसीजन है, which is something which I had referred earlier once in one of my announcements, probably from here, about the 75% arbitration amount. I just want to give you specifically what it is. In cases where government entity has challenged the arbitral award, and as a result the amount of the arbitral award has not been paid, 75% of such award will be paid by the government entity to the contractor or whoever who's concerned, against a bank guarantee only for the said 75 and not for its interest component. In cases where the bank guarantee for the interest component has already been submitted by the contractor or concessionaire, the same will be returned by the concerned government entity and the interest will be dealt as with by the court order given. Shall I repeat it? Where the government entity, in cases where the government entity has challenged the arbitral award, and as a result, the amount of the arbitral award has not been paid, 75% of such award will be paid by the government entity to the contractor or the concessionaire against a bank guarantee only for the said 75% and not for its interest component. With respect to the interest component, which is interest payable to the government entity, should the subsequent court order require refund of the said 75% because you give it earlier, payment of the same will be as per the court order, non-compliance of which by the contractor would be contempt of court. So in other words, it means with the bank guarantee, 75% will have to be paid, but no bank guarantee on the interest required. Interest need not be paid. It will be paid after the final order of the arbitration comes through. This 75%, which was a decision taken long ago, hadn't been implemented. I had assured here in one of my announcements that I will ensure that this gets done. The cabinet has given approval. Now there cannot be a delay in any of those payments which have to be made. And therefore that is a major decision by the government today. The next one is on, relates to the Ministry of Road and that is the MORTH, related to the TOT, model and securitization of user fee receipts of the national highways. The approval which has been given today by the cabinet is for monetizing, that the NHAA may be authorized to monetize public funded NH projects which are operational and are collecting toll for at least 1 year after the construction and COD, that is through the TOT model, instead of 2 years as approved earlier by the CCA. So earlier condition which was given that 2 years and post that you would go for monetization, now that has been cut down. Now it's been reduced for at least 1 year. If they've been up and running and toll being collected, they could monetize. NHAI also gets authorized to vary the concession period between 15 to 30 years, depending on the project's features, instead of 30 years as was approved earlier. So that condition of 30 years has now been reduced to either 15 to 30 years, depending on how convenient it is. A detailed proposal of every TOT bundle, including the proposed project stretches, estimated concession value, and also a proposed concessional period shall be approved by the NHAI board itself. And also we authorize the NHAI now to raise long-term finance from banks by securitizing the user fee receipts from fee plazas as an alternative mode of asset monetization. So there are 4 things that I've told you. The first thing is about monetizing publicly funded NH projects with a limitation of 1 year. That is, if they are collecting, it is operational and also collecting toll for last 1 year. The second is the concessional period has been brought down from 30 years to anywhere between 15 to 30 years. And the third one is including the proposed stretches, concessional value, proposed concessional period. All this can be approved by the NHAI's board itself. And the final thing is that NHAI may approach banks for long-term finance by securitizing their user fee, which are fees collected from the plazas. So that was on the MORTH. I go to the next one. which relates to having a unified authority for regulating all financial services in the International Financial Services Center, that is the IFSC, which the first one or the foremost one which exists now is in the gift city. For regulating the financial services, which will be focusing on the International Financial Services Center, the gift city, which is IFSC, 8 such organizations, regulatory bodies, will all be brought together, and they will regulate the activities here. They include SEBI, RBI, and PFRD, and so on. So all these organizations together will come together to be a one window, single window, to ensure that the functions are regulated. It sets up this unified authority. There will be a chairman together with 8 members. Due procedure shall be followed for the creation of the posts. And they shall, in one place, govern all activities of this financial center, so that we become world-class, we are able to match the practices which exist all over the world, and it shall become a global financial hub. So that was something which was promised during the budget, and therefore that has also been achieved. Meaning all the regulators for the rest of the country are there. You know them, right? RBI, SEBI, PFRD, and all that. But when it comes to the International Financial Services Center, all of them will have one representative, and together with one chairman will be available there as a single window. That's right. But that is only for that, and that chairman plus 8 will be limited to the operations of the IFSC. It is not as if that they're going to do anything else elsewhere in the country. The single window facilitation happens through this method. The next is, of course, something which I had announced on the 20th of September, the taxation. We've gone to the cabinet to take the approval because that's an ordinance which we had brought in that time. And quickly to recall, it was reduction in the corporate income tax, 30 to 25, and also for the new ones at 15, reduction in MAT. So you are aware all that, and also talking about new companies at 15, talking about these buyback tax of shares for listed companies, and also capital gains arising out of securities transaction tax. All this has been also today approved. And small minor corrections which had to be done have all been, and clarificatory notes which had to be given, all that has received the approval of the cabinet now. So,
taxation law amendment bill.
That's right. The 7th item that I would want to draw your attention on is a quick mention. I'm sure the concerned ministries will talk about it. This is about the National Capital Region regularization of the unauthorized colonies. So that has received the approval, and that announcement was made some time ago. The Prime Minister also met with a lot of those colony representatives and so on. So what this would do is to bring in a great sense of relief for all those people who have been waiting to hear the plan of action, and that has been explained in the proposal, and that has been now approved. So it's the proposal for framing regulations for conferring or recognizing ownership or mortgage or transfer rights to the residents of unauthorized colonies in Delhi. That receives the approval today. The next item is pertaining to a proposal for introduction of recycling of ships bill and the accession that we do now to the Hong Kong International Convention for safe and environmentally sound recycling of ships. So that Hong Kong Convention is what we give accession to today. Through that, we provide a competitive edge to India. You know, in Anang, there is a major ship recycling activity which happens, which has global standard practices, something which has grown organically on its own. Actually, for the decades that it has taken to build such an excellent module for ship recycling, it's a completely self-grown with no external or governmental assistance. But by this accession to the Hong Kong International Convention, we are actually bringing in best practices, global best practices, and we are not becoming a backyard of all rejected ships, but on the contrary, scientifically dealing with ship recycling happens there. So it is a classic case where India, with its existing regulatory framework, is also bringing in the international convention. The ship breaking code exists here in India. A revised version also has come in 2013. But by this accession, what we bring in is environment protection, worker safety are all going to get greater importance. So this is something which I would like to place a lot of importance. A lot of international funding agencies have also been looking at India as one of those high-class recycling centers for which they are willing to give further funds. By this accession to an international convention, we hope to be able to get better assistance from different agencies which want to fund. I move to another very important decision which has been taken by the Cabinet today. The Cabinet has given approval for establishment of National Institute of Sowa Rigpa at Leh, Ladakh. It's one of the traditional Tibetan medicine, like we say Ayurveda, Unani, Siddha, and so on. This is a traditional Tibetan Himalayan treatment, medicinal practice, for which a national institute is now being set up in Leh, Ladakh. So the Cabinet has given approval, and this shall be, it's called SOWA, S-O-W-A, SOWA hyphen R-I-G-P-A, SOWA Rigpa. So for Leh, Ladakh, this is one of the biggest national institute coming for their traditional medicine. And what does it mean? It is going to be an autonomous body under the Ministry of Ayush with a capital cost of 30.80 crores and a recurring cost of 16.45 crores. Obviously, this will have a director for whom the approval has been given. So it's a science of healing, which is very, very famous there. It originated from India, and it's a traditional medicinal practice, which has a following not just in Ladakh, Leh, but also in Himachal Pradesh. It has a following in Arunachal Pradesh, in Sikkim, Darjeeling, and also among the Tibetans who are settled in this country. So this will be of a major implication for that region, Leh and Ladakh. A quick mention, the Cabinet also has given approval for import of 1.2 lakh metric tons of onion. 1.2 lakh metric tons. A quick mention on that. I'll move to talking about Telecom. You are aware that on the Telecom, a lot of discussion has been going on in the recent past. There was a committee of secretaries which looked into the matter with exhaustively. had representatives come and speak to the concerned authorities. The ministry has been spending a lot of time. I know the minister himself has been involved in discussing with a lot of representatives. So, I would like to give you what the cabinet has given approval for. I'll probably read it out so that we are not going to be mistaking any of the approval. In view of the current financial stress which is being faced by the major telecom service providers, TSPs, and also pursuant to the recommendations given by the Committee of Secretaries, I read out what has been approved. To defer receipt of the spectrum auction installments, to defer receipt of the spectrum auction installments, I repeat, to defer receipt of the spectrum auction installments due from the TSPs for the years 2020, 2020 to 2021 and 21-22. I repeat, to defer receipt of the spectrum auction installments due from the TSPs for the years 2020-21 and 2021-22. Okay? These deferred amounts will be equally spread over the remaining installments to be paid by the TSPs. I'll repeat it. These deferred amounts will be equally spread over the remaining installments to be paid by the TSPs, that is the telecom service providers, without any increase in the existing time period. Without any increase in the existing time period specified for making the installment payments. One important line, next line. The interest as stipulated while auctioning. Interest, I repeat, interest as stipulated while auctioning of the concerned spectrum will, however, be charged so that NPV of the payable amount is protected, right? So that the net PV of the payable amount is protected. The NPV will remain intact. So that's not getting altered. As per the current policy, the TSPs will continue to securitize the next payable annual installment by a financial bank guarantee of an amount equivalent to the installment. There will be a press release which will go into the detail, but I suppose the first major decision about the deferment and also about the interest and about the spread of the installments without the actual time period getting extended is the point that you have to probably focus on. I read a line about the bank guarantees. I'll repeat it. As per the current policy, the TSPs will continue to securitize the next payable annual installment by a financial bank guarantee of an amount equivalent to the installment. You got it? That is, a TSP opting for a 2-year deferment, a TSP opting for a 2-year deferment will provide the government a financial bank guarantee of the revised annual installment amount payable for the years 2022-23. So that broadly gives you about the telecom decision. The last one is on the labor codes. Labor codes are 4, you're aware. On the wages, I think on the 8th of August 19, the decision was taken and we had informed you. The occupational safety related code is with the standing committee. Today, the approval has been given for the industrial relations code. The 4th one is, of course, the social security. I'm not talking about that now. So there are 4 codes about the wages, which is the first one. 8th August 2019, approval was given and you were informed about it. The occupational safety related one, the code on occupational safety, is with the standing committee. The social security is not what I take up now, but today's approval relates to Industrial Relations Code Bill. Inter alia, whole lot of things are there. I'm sure you'll get the details. The most important feature, overall, of course, the code has been waiting for 10 years. And it is only after 2014, after this government came under the leadership of the Prime Minister, we started working on it. So this particular thing related to the Industrial Relations Code, I'd like to highlight the fact that fixed term employment, I treat that as the big noteworthy point. The fixed term employment, as opposed to the contract which prevails widely nowadays, is being given permission. Approval is being given to fixed term. And what does that mean? All workers who are going to be under the fixed term will of course be taken seasonally depending on the nature of each of the industry, as and when the orders come and all that, but they shall be treated at par with regular workers for the benefits. They shall be treated at par with the regular workers. That's the biggest feature. I'd like to say that the Minister Gangwarji has spent a lot of time in consultation with all the trade unions, all the stakeholders. Now this code obviously comes up with a whole lot of things. This, as I said, is one of the 4 codes. State governments, of course, can take it further. Looking at the code, each of the states can take it any further, and therefore, without taking more of your time, these are some of the highlights of today's cabinet meeting. Thank you.
So will the Numaligarh will be sold to or will be handed over to another CPSE, sir? So that will be another strategic disinvestment?
No, it won't be a strategic investment. That is why I said it will remain with the public sector only. It will be a Government of India undertaking. You want to expand on it?
Yes, actually, there will be 2 strategic disinvestment. One will be to the BPCL, which is to the private buyer, strategic buyer. And the other one is Numaligarh, which will be given to a CPSC in oil and gas sector for consolidation.
Ma'am, Lakshman CNBC आवाज से, ma'am, मैम लक्ष्मण सीएनबी सेवा से आपके राइट में जो 5 कंपनियों में स्ट्रेटजिक सेल का फैसला लिया गया है वो क्या हम लोग ये एक्सपेक्ट करें कि करंट फाइनेंशियल ईयर में ही हो पाएगा? दूसरा सवाल कि 51% से हिस्सेदारी घटाने का जो फैसला है कहाँ तक घटाएं? कुछ लोअर लिमिट हम लोगों ने रखा है 40% या 30% कुछ ऐसा?
मैनेजमेंट कंट्रोल रखने का जितना उचित है उतना तक। आज कैबिनेट का डिसीजन बोल रही हूँ, थोड़ा सांस लेने दीजिए ना। No, but when you're dealing with management control, why will you have to worry about it? You're going to be the management of it. But unless Secretary, you want to add something more?
नहीं, उसमें सारे के सारे कंट्रोल रहेंगे अंडर सेक्शन 139(5) ऑफ द कंपनीज एक्ट। वो डीम्ड आता है, उसमें सीएजी का भी रहेगा, आरटीआई का भी रहेगा, उसमें एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव ट्राइब्यूनल्स एक्ट का भी रहेगा और उसमें बाकी के प्रावधान भी रहेंगे।
Ma'am, Sapna here from CNBC. Just one quick follow-up of Lakshman only. He has actually covered both the questions. So just to ask, any amendments will be required when you go below 51%? Or it's all within the existing framework, so nothing further required? The PSU tag will continue to remain, ma'am, because you will hold management control still. And second, of course, ma'am, the timeline. Everybody is... Okay, so PSU... Oh, sorry. Okay. Sorry. So, ma'am, PSU tag and the amendment not required, probably we will clarify. You will clarify. And ma'am, just again that same question about timeline, everybody is asking because we are in November now. And this is a big decision taken by the government.
November May.
Ma'am, sorry.
November May decision, big decision.
I mean,
so you can answer, I've answered your question.
Can we simply say that contractual workers, people on contract, will be treated at par with regular workers?
No, now they'll be called fixed term workers. The situation is different, right? The nature of employment will be fixed term now. I'm comparing it with the pre-code structure where contract laborers, all of us talk about them, their rights, their emoluments and so on. But what this code is talking about is it's giving permission for fixed term employment, because there are times when, let us say in seasonal production, like in textiles, when you're exporting, you have extraordinary orders coming in, let us say for the Christmas and New Year. At that time when you take them on, they will all be fixed term employed people, for whom what we are saying, one of the features of this one will be that they will be getting as many benefits as a regular worker. So I'm giving just one of the features. The code itself has very many, which I'm sure the ministry, Labour Ministry, will come out with an exhaustive press release for it.
Ma'am, I'm Nikunj Johri from Bloomberg Quint. You said that the government would divest about 31% in Concor, but the government actually holds about 55% in the company, as per the stock exchange data.
I've got the details. Do you want to give?
Why, could you explain the reason why the government intends to hold about 25% in the company?
We have 54.8% equity in the Concor, and government has decided to strategically disinvest 30.8%. That leaves 24% to be retained. And this is also because, there's Concor is quite integrally linked with the railways. So we don't have really a very competitive market as yet in this area. So therefore, it is important to government retain stake, but this is less than 26%. So therefore, there is no veto things, and we can't, we intend to make it very clear that the management control will be unencumbered so far as the new strategic buyer is concerned.
मैम दिल्ली के अनऑथराइज्ड कॉलोनी को लेकर क्या ये फैसला हुआ है कि सरकार बिल लेकर आएगी? क्या फैसला हुआ है आज कैबिनेट?
Affairs देंगे. Yes, that which was announced is now being approved by the cabinet. उसके लिए जो भी पार्लियामेंट में करना है वो करेंगे. उसका अप्रूवल मिला है आज.
Telecom, clearly it will be a huge relief for the sector
His committee of secretaries was also looking at issues like floor pricing and the USOF, SUC, etc. So will those issues go on? Will those issues be considered by the government and the COS as we go forward? Because these are also some other major.
There are several issues related to that. I've announced that which has a serious implication on which the cabinet has given its approval. As regards the other steps, as and when, I wouldn't be in a position to elaborate on them now. I'm talking only about the cabinet decision. The rest, the ministry will be able to answer you, and maybe they'll follow it up to whatever extent. That is a call which the ministry will have to tell you.
Ma'am, about the unauthorized colonies, ma'am.
Over.
Thank you so much.